My parents drained $30,000 from my accounts, mocked me for it, and called it family obligation. So I severed ties. Now they're without a home, pleading for forgiveness. My birthday was approaching. I'd planned to take a few days off, maybe escape to a sunny destination for once. I hadn't had a real vacation in years, but my safety net of savings vanished in a single night. I frantically contacted the bank to challenge the charges, hoping it was an elaborate scam, perhaps by a cybercriminal. But the representative calmly explained that the transactions were authorized, backed by my signatures and PIN. Except I hadn't spent a dime. I stormed into the living room of my small apartment, my pulse pounding with fury and disbelief. Then it hit me. My parents were the only ones with access to my financial details. I grabbed my phone and dialed. My father answered after 2 rings, his voice eerily casual. "Hey, kid, you okay?" I gritted my teeth. "My credit card's maxed out, Dad. $30,000 gone. Know anything about that?" A heavy silence followed, a suffocating, unbearable pause. "Well," he said at last, his tone shifting to defensiveness, "the family needed it more. You'll manage. You've got a solid job." I felt my blood boil. "You use my card?" "It's not like that," he snapped, his voice growing louder. "You act like your money's just yours. We're family. Sacrifices are part of it." Before I could respond, my mother's voice chimed in from the background, laughing like it was a prank. "Honestly, you don't need some fancy birthday getaway. We had better plans for the cash. You can celebrate solo this year." The world seemed to tilt for a moment. My breath came in short, sharp gasps. I'd worked 2 jobs through college, scrimped and saved, skipped parties, trips, new clothes, and now this. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Don't ever contact me again." I hung up before my father could spew another self-righteous excuse. That night, as city lights flickered outside my window, I sat at my laptop, accessing every account they never thought I'd touch. The joint mortgage I'd co-signed, canceled. The truck loan I'd backed for my father, terminated. My mother's credit line tied to my name, shut down. I did it all quietly. No arguments, no explanations, just cold, deliberate clicks. It wasn't about revenge. It was about drawing a boundary I should have set years ago. They wanted to know what life was like without me. They were about to find out, not out of spite, but because enabling them had nearly broken me. You're probably wondering how I ended up here, how a grown man with a stable career got bled dry by his own kin. It wasn't sudden. That's the twisted part. They were methodical, patient. When I landed my first real job, an entry-level role in finance right out of college, my parents saw it as their victory. "We gave up everything for you," my father would repeat. "You owe us." My mother would add, "Without us, you wouldn't have that degree. All we ask is a little support. Family looks out for family." At first, it was small things. A few $100 to cover property taxes. A couple thousand for my sister's emergency dental work. Dad's old truck broke down. Could I co-sign for a new one? Mom's credit card was maxed out, temporarily. I told myself it was fine. Short term. They raised me, after all. That's what good sons do, right? But temporary became permanent. My father started expecting me to cover their mortgage shortfalls. My mother stopped pretending she'd repay me. My younger sister, Sorrel, the family's darling, quit her job to discover herself and chase artistic dreams, while I quietly paid her student loans to keep her credit intact. "You earn 6 figures, my mother once said, waving her hand dismissively. "It's not a big deal. 6 figures, sure, but after taxes, rent, and their endless emergencies, my bank account looked like it belonged to a barista. I watched friends buy homes, invest, travel. I stayed in my cramped apartment, eating takeout, thinking I was building a future while I was funding theirs. Then things got uglier. 2 years ago, my father was fired for siphoning funds from his company, a fact I only learned after I'd already lent him $40,000 to tide him over. "Just temporary, son," he swore, his voice dripping with false humility. "I'll pay you back once I'm on my feet." He never recovered. Instead, he and my mother kept draining me. My credit cards became their fallback plan. They started using my identity for loans without asking, forging signatures, charming bank staff with, "Our son will cover it if anything goes wrong," and Sorrel. She played her part flawlessly. With fake smiles and hollow promises, the helpless princess charged my accounts for new phones, luxury spa retreats, and yoga instructor courses. "I'll pay you back when my influencer career takes off. Just be patient, okay?" Every time I tried to set limits, they wielded guilt and shame like weapons. "Do you want your father to lose his house? How can you be so selfish when your sister's mental health depends on this retreat? After all we've done, you've changed. Money's made you cold." The breaking point came last month. I finally said no when my mother asked me to cover a $15,000 business loan for Sorrel's deadbeat boyfriend, a self-proclaimed entrepreneur who couldn't hold a job for 3 months. My father exploded. You're tearing this family apart, he roared across the dinner table. What kind of son are you? My mother wept on command. Sorrel stormed upstairs, slamming doors like a spoiled teen. She's 26. I sat there, expressionless, silent, done. Because that night, after everyone was asleep, I checked my credit card and found the $30,000 bill waiting to swallow me whole. They hadn't even asked. They just took it. I knew the fallout was coming. I just didn't expect it to hit so fast or so brutally. My phone buzzed relentlessly the morning after I cut everything off. 27 missed calls, 15 voicemails, hundreds of texts, some begging, some screaming, some seething with rage. By midday, they ambushed me. When I pulled into my building's parking lot after work, my father and Sorrel stood like predators by the entrance. My mother's face was streaked with theatrical tears. Sorrel's arms were crossed, radiating entitlement. I barely locked my car before my father charged forward, fingers stabbing the air. "What have you done?" he bellowed. "You've ruined us, you selfish idiot!" I didn't back down, not this time. "I protected myself," I said icily. "Something none of you ever cared to do for me." "The bank called today," he spat. "The mortgage is frozen. The truck's gone. Your mother's cards are locked. What gives you the right?" "The right?" I laughed bitterly. "You stole from me, forged my name, maxed my cards. I've spent years bailing you out. Now you face the consequences." "We're family," my mother wailed. "How can you do this to your own parents?" Her voice cracked, but her eyes were cold, manipulative. The same eyes that had guilted me my whole life. "Family doesn't steal," I shot back. "Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't treat me like a cash machine." Sorrel finally spoke, her tone dripping with contempt. "Oh, come on," she sneered. "You're so dramatic. You earn good money. You weren't even using that credit. We just needed a little help." $30,000 isn't a little help, I shouted, my voice echoing off the building. "You wiped out my savings, tanked my credit, stole my future, and acted like I owed it to you." I wasn't angry anymore. I was exhausted. I finally said it out loud. Sorrel rolled her eyes like a brat denied a toy. "God, you act like you're some martyr. You wouldn't have that job without Dad's help. We gave you everything." "No," I growled. "You took everything and I let you. Not anymore." My father stepped closer, his face inches from mine, his voice a low, threatening snarl. "You think you're better than us? Too good for your family? You're nothing without us. You'll regret this." "No," I said softly. "My only regret is not doing this sooner." His face twisted, veins bulging. "You owe us. We gave you life and you treat it like your personal piggy bank. I worked 2 jobs while Sorrel went to spas," I snapped. "I lived in a closet while you bought Dad another truck. Every time I got ahead, you dragged me back down. Enough." My mother's voice turned shrill, desperate. "We're your parents. You're supposed to take care of us." "I'm not your ATM," I said, voice like steel. "I'm not your safety net. I'm not your servant." Neighbors started watching, peering from windows, cracking doors open, curious eyes drawn to the family meltdown unfolding in broad daylight. Then came the final act of manipulation. My mother dropped to her knees on the pavement, sobbing loudly for effect. "Please," she cried. "If you walk away, we'll lose everything. The house, your father's health, Sorrel's future." "Then maybe Sorrel should get a job," I said bluntly. "Maybe Dad should stop living beyond his means. Maybe you should own up to the chaos you created." "You monster!" Sorrel screamed. "We're your family. We need you." I shook my head, looking at them clearly for the first time. "No, you don't need me. You need my money, my credit, my life. You never needed me as a person, just as a resource." My father lunged forward, his voice shaking with fury. "We made you!" "No," I said quietly. "You broke me, but I rebuilt myself without you." Then I delivered the final blow. "Don't call me. Don't come to my door. Don't text. Don't pretend we're family. As far as I'm concerned, you're gone." The silence that followed was deafening. They stood there, stunned, as if I'd spoken in a language they couldn't comprehend. Then I turned, walked past them, and entered my building, leaving them powerless and exposed in the parking lot. That night, for the first time in years, I slept without nightmares. I was free. I thought the storm had crested that day in the parking lot. I was wrong. That was just the beginning. When I cut them off financially, their entire world collapsed almost instantly. The mortgage company froze their loan within 4 days after I removed my name from the papers. Their months of missed payments triggered an immediate default. By week's end, they received a foreclosure notice. The childhood home they'd used as a guilt trip for years was set for auction in under 60 days. I didn't have to do anything. The system handled it. My father's prized truck, the $70,000 monster he couldn't live without, was gone by dawn one morning. The repo man came quietly. My father raged barefoot in his worn robe, shouting, "You can't take my truck!" But no tantrum could erase the debt. It was gone. By the second week, my mother's calls shifted from anger to panic. "We're losing everything," she sobbed in voicemails I stopped answering. "Your father's blood pressure is skyrocketing. Your sister has nowhere to go. What kind of son lets this happen?" I deleted every message after the first line. Then Sorrel showed up. I knew she would. She looked different, paler, smaller, with dark circles under her eyes and a knockoff designer bag hanging limply from her arm. The arrogance was gone, replaced by desperation. "Please," she begged at my door, mascara running down her face like war paint. "You can't abandon us. Do you know how bad it's gotten?" I said nothing. "I was just following Mom and Dad," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I'm your sister. Please, just for a little while." I stared at her for a long moment. For the first time, I felt nothing. No pity, no guilt, no duty. "I'm done, Sorrel," I said firmly. "Go home if you still have one." "You can't be serious," she whispered, voice breaking. "You're my brother." "No," I said, voice like iron. "I was your bank, and I'm closed." Security escorted her out 15 minutes later. She kept trying. Texts, DMS, voicemails filled with tears, curses, and bargaining. She even sent distant relatives to plead her case. "Just help them get back on their feet," they'd say. "They're still your family. You're being harsh." Harsh? Harsh was them draining my accounts while laughing in my face. Harsh was forging my signature behind my back. Harsh was smiling as I skipped birthdays, trips, and relationships to fix their endless messes. Let them face the consequences. By month's end, their perfect world was gone. They moved into a cramped two-bedroom apartment across town, far from the suburban paradise they'd lorded over everyone. The eviction was public. Neighbors gossiped. Friends vanished. My father's fragile pride shattered. The man who once barked orders like a king now scraped by with odd jobs as a handyman. His blood pressure spiked. His health tanked without the meds he could no longer afford. My mother tried to keep up appearances, posting old photos on social media, pretending life was fine. But the cracks showed fast. Debt collectors kept calling. Sorrel's influencer dreams imploded. Without my money to prop up her curated lifestyle, her followers dwindled. She bounced from couch to couch, leaning on fleeting friendships that faded when she couldn't pay for coffee or split rent. One day, she reached out through a mutual friend. "She's in rough shape, man," my friend said, visibly uneasy. "Practically homeless. Maybe you could—" "No," I cut him off. "I've done enough." Because that's what they never grasped. They thought I was weak for giving so much. But the truth, I was strong enough to stop. And when I did, their world collapsed under the weight of their own entitlement. Meanwhile, my life began. I bought a home, a modest but beautiful condo, fully paid, entirely mine. The peace within those walls was unmatched. For the first time in nearly a decade, I wasn't worried about anyone else's survival. I traveled, real trips, not canceled plans or family crises, Iceland, Italy, Japan. I stood under the northern lights, breathing air untainted by guilt. Therapy became my lifeline. I unpacked years of manipulation, shame, and financial abuse. My therapist said something that stayed with me. "You didn't have parents. You had parasites posing as parents." And she was right. One message broke the quiet. A text from Sorrel's ex-boyfriend. "Man, I see it all now. They never deserved you. Sorry it took me so long to get it." I smiled, reading it. Not out of vindication, but peace. For the first time, I wasn't the villain. I was free. Silence used to terrify me. For years, quiet meant a storm was brewing. Another call, another crisis, another financial trap wrapped in guilt and family duty. Now silence is freedom. No more calls, no more yelling, no more begging, no more manipulation, just peace. I sit on my balcony every night now. My own place, my own money, my own choices. The city skyline glows before me. A reminder that I survived. I'm not angry anymore. That burned out long ago. What's left is clarity. For years, I was taught my worth was tied to how much I could sacrifice for others. That loyalty meant bleeding for people who didn't care about me. They called it family. But it was never love. It was a transaction, one where I paid and they took. The worst lie wasn't the forged signatures or the stolen money. It was the lie they fed me since childhood. Good sons always take care of their family. But good sons aren't hostages. Good sons aren't bank accounts. Good sons don't lose themselves to people who only want to consume. They thought cutting me off would break me. Instead, cutting them off saved me. The last email I got from my mother sits unopened in my inbox. We didn't raise you to be this heartless. Maybe she's right. They didn't raise me at all. I raised myself, and for years, I carried their weight without complaint, thinking that's what love was. They built their empire on my back. When I finally stood up, their reign fell apart. Now I sleep without debt collectors chasing me, without last-minute crises draining my accounts, without fake family dinners that felt like audits. I wake up, sip my coffee, and feel at ease. And you know what? I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm free. If you ask me about regrets, I'll tell you the same thing every time. Not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I had to choose myself for once. My only regret is not walking away sooner. Because the moment I chose myself, I started to live.